next thing you know, this whoosh comes down and boom, explosion.
Right now on KGW News at noon, 3 people are dead after a small plane crashed into 2 townhomes in Fairview this weekend. That's our top story today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ashley Grams. It happened just a few miles away from the Troutdale Airport. Thomas Schultz joins us now from the scene of the crash. Thomas, there's still a lot we don't know here.
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of unknowns and a lot of crews out here working. And I mean, at this time, there's a power line that neighbors say was hidden. Over here, you can even see the townhome that's seemingly charred after it was hit Saturday morning in that plane crash. As soon as it happened, neighbors felt the impact. And you can see here in this video the large fire, which sparked around 10:30 Saturday morning when a twin-engine Cessna plane crashed into this community 11 miles from Portland. First, the plane struck power lines, knocking out electricity for thousands. Then it hit a row of townhomes. Almost immediately, neighbors say multiple units caught on fire, displacing 5 families. Gresham fire officials say at least 3 people died, though it's not clear who just yet. The FAA says there were 2 people on board the small plane, and 1 townhome resident is unaccounted for. There were also multiple injuries in this crash as well, though the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office has not yet said the extent of those injuries and how many people were hurt. Though to neighbors and bystanders, a tragedy like this happening so close to home is gut-wrenching.
There's a lot of people crying. A lot of the neighbors were just beside themselves. They had their hands over their face, and it's pretty sad. Kind of makes it all real when you see the damage.
And after this tragedy, the National Transportation Board has 2 investigators documenting the wreckage. There's also crews out there shoveling, continuing to excavate the debris that we showed you earlier this morning. Road closures have been rampant and it has been mounted up here as well today.
And Thomas, you said there were some crews out there still working. What are you hearing from emergency personnel?
Yeah, well, we spoke to some PGE officials today, Ashley, and they tell us that, look, I mean, they're having to close down some of these roads because at this time they're still worried that one of those lines, power lines, might actually come down.
Thank you, Thomas.
They're good plans, but you have to put them into implementation. It takes a while. People need to be patient about it.
People struggling with addiction could land in jail for possessing hard drugs unless they choose to deflect into treatment. House Bill 4002 went into effect yesterday. The new law means anyone found in possession of hard drugs like meth or fentanyl can once again face charges. KGW's Celine Stevens has more.
Cleaning up the streets, getting the drugs off the streets is probably a good thing.
We can't just fill up our jails with, people who are obviously needing, help.
I don't think it's fixing the problem. I think it's fixing the symptom.
House Bill 4002 finally went into effect Sunday, a new law that partially rolled back parts of Measure 110. That measure was approved in 2020, decriminalizing small amounts of hard drugs like cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl, with the only punishment being a fine. But after increased drug use, especially with fentanyl, Governor Tina Kotek signed the bill, rolling back parts of the law and making hard drug possession a crime once again.
When it was decriminalized, there wasn't enough resources that were put into making sure that people who needed the help to go to treatment could find a bed and go to treatment. We definitely need to make sure that people have the resources that they need so that they can get off drugs, stay sober, and turn their lives around.
This time, counties will have their own deflection programs meant to offer drug users the chance to avoid jail time by opting into treatment. For example, anyone found with hard drugs in Multnomah County will be handcuffed while police check for outstanding warrants. If they don't have any, they could be offered deflection. However, the county's deflection center isn't ready yet, and in the meantime, the county plans to use a mobile outreach team. Another issue is that due to staffing, deflection will only be offered to those found with drugs between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays. Outside of those hours, it's a citation or straight to jail.
Recriminalization, I think, is going to help us get back on track with providing the help to the folks who are addicts. They're good plans, but you have to put them into implementation. It takes a while. People need to be patient about it.
Others think the deflection centers are a good idea, but without the right resources, not much will change, and think arresting drug users might just be the quick answer.
If you get a record, then it's hard to find housing, and it causes all other problems for you that make it even more difficult to stay sober and also stay off the streets too.
Meanwhile, officials with public transportation like TriMet believe it's a good move and think it will help law enforcement better address issues with the drug crisis.
This new tool gives us an ability to actually go out there and work with our law enforcement personnel to increase penalties out there on the system.
That was Celine Stevens reporting. Come January 1st, Senate Bill 1553 will also go into effect, which will create a stiffer penalty for anyone caught using drugs on public transportation. Well, taking a short break from the headlines here to give you a live look outside from our Wells Fargo cam, looking out over Portland today. Looks like the rain we got this morning still hanging on. Let's bring in Rod Hill. Rod, doesn't feel like we're getting out to the pool or the barbecue for Labor Day today.
Not today. And on a low cloud day, what's even more impressive in terms of telling the story than the live camera you just showed is the visible satellite picture. So this is a true snapshot of the cloud cover highlighted in white. It's bumping up against the Cascades, but notice it is absolutely solid from south of Salem all the way up the north of Kelso, all the way to the coast. You do find clearing up in elevation in the Cascades and out into the Columbia River Gorge. And in fact, at noon, we're still getting reports of patchy drizzle, which can be heavy. Again, drizzle means it's a minute water droplet, but it can be relatively heavy. So there is still, in fact, some wet areas being reported. On the radar beam shooting up over the top of the low clouds, producing light moisture here on the west side. But you can see the scattered showers. We've had a few lightning strikes in the last 30 minutes out east as well. Look at the low clouds and the fog and the drizzle out in wine country. That's the Dundee Hills and the Camerata Domain Serene Winery. And here's downtown Portland. Low clouds still hanging on over the West Hills. We're at 64. If we get any partial clearing at all, probably not until after 3 o'clock today, and we would need that just to get up into the 70s. So your Labor Day, not a pool day, as you mentioned, Ashley. We do have a return to big-time summer heat coming up in my 7-day forecast.
We'll see you soon, Rod. Thank you. Let's get to some other local headlines we're tracking. The Washington County Sheriff is investigating a shooting that left one person injured early this morning. They say officers responded to a call of shots fired around 6 a.m. near the intersection of Southwest 185th and Selva-Rosa Court. Investigators have confirmed the shooting happened there and at least one victim was taken to a hospital, but we don't have much information beyond that. They ask anyone who knows anything or captured video of the shooting to contact the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Rescue crews resumed searching this morning for a woman who went missing yesterday while swimming on the Willamette River near Molalla State Park. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office tells us just after 5 on Sunday evening, a call came in about a woman who'd fallen off a boat but never resurfaced. Multiple agencies responded, but they were unable to find her. They say nightfall and the depth of the river in some areas forced them to suspend the search until today. Our Daisy Caballero is gathering more information on this story. She'll have an update for you on KGW News at 4. And tomorrow, 4,500 unionized Fred Meyer workers will end their scheduled multi-day strike. Workers accuse Fred Meyer of unfair labor practices and say negotiations stalled over wages and retirement funding. But Fred Meyer says the union's allegations are unfounded. Last week's bargaining sessions failed to produce a new contract. Both sides are expected back at the bargaining table next week.